The air inside the arena felt electric, every breath from the crowd a low hum of anticipation. But for Marco, it was silent, just him, the mat, and the towering figure across from him. His bare feet pressed against the cool surface, worn-out shorts hanging loosely, muscles taut with focus. His opponent, a state champion, had the advantage in size, training, and reputation. Marco had only one thing in his corner, the fire that had carried him from the streets to this moment. The whistle pierced the air, and Marco's body reacted before his mind could catch up. Years of dodging trouble in narrow alleyways had honed his reflexes. He slipped under his opponent's grip, spun, and with a burst of strength, sent him stumbling. Gasps echoed around the arena. But this was not just a match, it was the summit of a mountain he had been climbing since childhood. Marco's earliest memories were of small, cramped spaces. A leaky roof, the sound of rain dripping into buckets, and his younger sister Lila sleeping beside their ailing mother. His father had walked out when Marco was 8, leaving behind an empty chair at the table and a silence that never really left. By 10, Marco was working odd jobs, carrying heavy crates in the market, cleaning greasy tables at food stalls. Every coin he earned went to food for Lila. Then came the day when older boys tried to snatch her meal. Marco fought them off, more from desperation than skill, unaware that someone was watching. Mr. Reyes, a retired wrestling coach, saw in him a spark. "Come to my gym," he said, "and I'll teach you how to fight the right way." The gym was miles away, but Marco made the journey, barefoot, through gravel and mud, every morning before sunrise. Training was grueling, but Marco refused to quit. Mr. Reyes didn't just train his body. He built his mind, teaching him discipline, respect, and the belief that life could be more than survival. Marco didn't yet know it, but this journey would take him far beyond the dusty streets he once called home. Months turned into years, and Marco's raw energy was shaped into precise skill. The once scrawny boy began winning small local matches, each victory feeding his confidence. Yet, success brought new challenges. At one tournament, competitors mocked his tattered clothes and mismatched gear. The barefoot boy, they called him, laughing. Marco pretended not to hear, but inside, the sting was sharp. He channeled the pain into power, determined to prove that worth was not measured by appearance. Mr. Reyes became more than a coach, he was a mentor, a father figure who stayed late to teach him advanced techniques. "Wrestling isn't about strength alone," he'd say. "It's about heart." Marco's heart was tested when his dedication began to strain his bond with Lila. One evening, she waited excitedly for him at her school play, only to see an empty seat. Marco was at a district-level match, securing another win. When he returned home, she was quiet, her smile dim. "You missed it," she whispered. Guilt gnawed at him. That night, as he lay on his thin mattress, he wondered if chasing his dream meant losing the people he loved. The next morning, Lila placed a small paper medal in his hand. "For my big brother, because you never give up." Her forgiveness reignited his spirit. Marco pushed harder, waking before dawn, training until exhaustion. His name began to spread beyond the local scene. Soon, he received news, he had qualified for the regional championships, the gateway to the national stage. But with the opportunity came a storm of doubts. Could a boy with no proper gear, no sponsor, and no family name stand against athletes groomed for this from birth? Mr. Reyes simply said, "Let your wrestling speak for you." Those words became Marco's silent anthem as he stepped into the biggest challenge of his life so far. The regional championships were unlike anything Marco had experienced. The stadium lights were blinding, the crowd deafening. Wrestlers from across the country filled the space with confidence and swagger, their uniforms spotless, their coaches shouting strategies from the sidelines. Marco's uniform, though clean, was still patched in places. But when he stepped onto the mat, none of that mattered. Match after match, Marco relied on speed, instinct, and relentless determination. He surprised his opponents with unconventional moves, techniques Mr. Reyes had adapted from street fights into legitimate wrestling maneuvers. By the semi-finals, he had beaten 3 top-ranked wrestlers. But the 4th match nearly broke him. His opponent was heavier, stronger, and relentless. Twice, Marco was nearly pinned, saved only by sheer will. Between rounds, he sat on the edge of the mat, lungs burning, head spinning. "You can't out-muscle him," Mr. Reyes advised. "Outthink him." In the final round, Marco used his opponent's strength against him, sidestepping a charge and flipping him over for the winning points. The crowd erupted, but there was no time to celebrate, the finals were next. Then came the blow. Officials informed him he couldn't compete without a signed guardian consent form. His mother was too ill, his father absent. Marco's heart sank. But before despair could take root, Mr. Reyes stepped forward. "I'll sign. I'm his guardian in every way that matters." The officials hesitated, then nodded. That night, Marco hugged his coach with tears in his eyes. He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore, he was fighting for the man who had given him a second chance. Finals day arrived with the weight of the world pressing on Marco's shoulders. His opponent was an undefeated prodigy, praised by commentators as the future of the sport. The first round was a blur of muscle and strategy, and Marco found himself trailing by 2 points. In the break, he glanced at the stands. There was Lila, holding a handmade banner with 3 simple words, "Fight with your heart." Her steady gaze anchored him. The second round saw Marco clawing back, point by point. The crowd sensed something special unfolding, the underdog refusing to bow. Every move was calculated, every counter fueled by years of hardship. As the clock ticked down in the final round, Marco was behind by 1 point. 10 seconds remained. His opponent lunged, aiming to seal the win. Marco spun, using the momentum to lift and flip him onto the mat. The buzzer sounded. Silence fell before the scoreboard lit up. Marco had won. The arena erupted. Tears blurred his vision as he raised his hands, the roar of the crowd washing over him. This wasn't just a win. It was proof that perseverance could rewrite destiny. Reporters swarmed him, cameras flashing, but Marco's eyes searched for 2 faces, Lila's proud smile and Mr. Reyes' tear-filled gaze. In that moment, the medals and titles meant less than the love and belief that had carried him here. The medal ceremony was surreal. Standing on the podium, the gold medal around his neck felt heavy, not with weight, but with meaning. As the anthem played, Marco's mind replayed the journey, the cold mornings, the blisters, the hunger, the moments of doubt. He thought of Lila's paper medal and his mother's quiet prayers. When the ceremony ended, Marco did something no one expected. He stepped down, walked to the front row, and placed the gold medal around Mr. Reyes' neck. The old man's hands trembled as he whispered, "This is your victory." The crowd erupted again, but this time in applause for a different reason. Videos of the moment began spreading online, not just as a sports highlight, but as a story of gratitude and love. Interviews poured in, sponsors reached out, but Marco stayed grounded. He spent his first sponsorship money not on gear, but on repairing the roof of their home and buying medicine for his mother. When asked why, he simply said, "Wrestling taught me to fight, but my family taught me why I fight. That humility only deepened his bond with the public. People began calling him not just a champion, but a role model, proof that kindness and perseverance can triumph over circumstance. Months later, Marco stood in front of his old school, invited to speak at a graduation ceremony. Wearing a simple shirt and holding his medal, he looked out at the students, some barefoot, some with the same hungry eyes he once had. He told them about the mornings when he wanted to quit, the matches he nearly lost, and the nights he felt invisible. But most importantly, he told them about the people who believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. We all wrestle, he said, maybe not on a mat, but with life. And the only way to win is to keep fighting with your heart. As the students stood and applauded, Marco spotted Lila in the crowd, now older, stronger, her smile brighter than ever. After the ceremony, she hugged him tightly. "You kept your promise," she said. Marco smiled. "We kept it, together." That evening, as they walked home under a golden sunset, Marco realized the true championship wasn't the medal in his hand. It was the journey, the sacrifices, the love, and the chance to inspire others to believe that no dream is too far for a determined heart.